Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Downing and welcome you to another Degrassi video. Remember when I said I was going to do the Degrassi 10 best parents, and I did? Well, now I got to give you the 10 worst parents around. There has to be a balance. So somebody did a Reddit post about the worst parents, and then I just decided to do the best parents and then get my source material. So anyway, yeah, just like it was, I figured the top 6 worst parents on the list would basically go into a poll. The others ones, 7, 8, 9, 10, would not. So anyway, here we go. And number 10 was the Bandaris. Now the Bandaris would have been ranked a lot higher if they hadn't calmed down. So what we saw in seasons 8, 9, and 10 was basically a double standard with the Vandaris with Ali and Sav. Ali basically had to work around the house and do all this stuff, while Sav got off with a few things. Sav did get in trouble for stealing his dad's truck to try to go to a concert with some friends. And Sav did get upset over his dad saying that you're putting pressure on me too much, back off, and blast him. But then he says, but I will win your respect. And Dad says, I know you will, because deep down inside, you're a good person. Deep down. So anyway, yeah, the Bandaris seem to pull for an arranged marriage because Sav goes for his arranged marriage more so than poor Anya. Feels like Anya basically wanted to be with Sav, but Sav would not let Anya through. I think Sav, in a sense, was not going to treat Anya any good. So after Ali had some issues at work, at school, being with Drew, getting herself into deep trouble with Drew's mom, aka Audra, she goes to a private school. However, one of the girls frames her for smoking, and basically, Ali's parents don't let her explain her side of the story. Basically, choosing to support the other girl's parents and all that. Ali decides to run away. Both parents are shocked. Mrs. Bandari begs Sav to look at Ali's computer for signs of things, even though Sav didn't really feel that was a good idea. And Sav's dad was upset, saying that once you have teenagers, you'll understand how much you worry about them. Thankfully, though, Ali was found near Toronto University to be with Johnny DeMarco, and Johnny tells her that you can't run away from your problems because, Johnny had the misfortune of being along Drake Lampley when he stabbed JD in the aorta. So Ali and the family go to family therapy, and the Bandaris cool down a little bit. The father more so than the mom, but they allow Sav to have a relationship with Holly J, which kind of sucks because poor Anya. I mean, she puts herself through all this, and Sav just basically hates on her. So yeah, I feel so bad for Anya. I really do. But anyway, number 9 is Hatzalakos. We may be thinking, Hatzalakos? Well, some of you will understand, some of you will not. So basically, Hatzalakos was named principal in season 4 after Radish's mishandling of the Rick situation. But, of course, in season 5, Peter comes in the picture. He frames Manny with a topless video. And, hijinks ensue. I'll talk more about that when I get to one of Manny's relative parents who are on this list. But anyway, we find out that Peter gets in trouble from his mom, and that's Hatzalakos. And after Manny got in trouble, Emma's like, she's Peter's mom? Who the heck is the father? And Manny goes, Satan. Oh, I think Emma says to Manny, did you know that Peter was Hatzalakos' son? No. Okay, well, anyway. Now, Hatzalakos has to juggle being principal at school and trying to get keep Peter out of trouble. Season 6 was a massive problem. Peter decides to frame Sean with drugs in the locker, and Hatzalakos doesn't believe Sean's side of the story, protecting Peter in a sense. Sean knew Peter did it because Peter knew that he needed to get rid of Sean whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, Peter and Sean street race. Sean accidentally hits somebody, and Jay tells him to flee because Peter will get lucky with some stuff because he's a minor. Peter, thanks to his dad, I guess you can make a case that Peter's dad was a terrible parent too, because Peter's dad used his influences to get Peter off with community service and all that. Peter is not allowed to leave the home. He was under house arrest except for school, obviously. And Peter did a whole lot of bad stuff. Like he put a mask in Emma's locker because obviously he knew the codes from his mom. So basically, that's how he framed Sean for things. And Peter did a lot of bad stuff, and it seemed that Hatzalakos didn't really punish him that much. I mean, you could blame Peter's dad for not having good influence on him, and the fact that Peter's dad didn't want to have Peter around when Hatzalakos had to move to Regina to deal with her ailing mother. But I guess in a way that Peter got emancipated and got an apartment that his dad paid for, just as a way to, have the best of both worlds. But yeah, Hatzalakos was bad because it seemed that Peter got off with a lot of stuff more so than he should have. I mean, I know that a maternal instinct from a mother is huge and all that, but still, I mean, she should have made an example out of Peter by expelling him from school, saying that I may be your mother, but I'm also your principal. It just seemed that Peter got away with a lot more stuff than normal. And I think, in a sense, Peter may have tried to weasel himself out of the situation with the drugs in the locker and all that by blaming Emma for everything. I wouldn't blame him. Number 8 is Alex's mom. Now, a lot of people know that Alex's mom was talked about by Alex in season 4 in Mercy Street over the fact that she gets abused by ex-boyfriends and all that, and they spend time in women's shelters and she has to cry herself to sleep. But the fact of the matter is, Alex's mom also is on the bad side of things for one main reason: for playing Alex like a fiddle. Now, Alex and her mom don't have the best home situation, and all that. Fair enough. But Alex's mom in season 5 decides not only to date one of her abusive boyfriends, but to use the money that Alex decided to work as a stripper at a gentleman's club. Alex works at a gentleman's club and gets money to try to help her mom pay bills and all that. So Alex's mom decides to use that money to bail her boyfriend out of jail. And Alex decides to leave and be close to Paige because Paige at least helps her out. And, Alex's mom, Alex had a toxic thing with her mom. I mean, her mom basically decided to use Alex, kind of a cash cow, to bail her boyfriend out of jail while Alex is doing illegal stuff. Trying to have Alex gravitate towards Paige, but the class system doesn't work out that well. Alex goes to live with relatives somewhere else, I think, away from her mom. And number 7, just missing out. And I know a lot of people were probably pissed off that he wasn't in the top 6 for the poll, but basically it was Manny's dad. Now you could say that there were a few people on the list, the top 6, that should have been below the top 6 and put Manny's dad in. But there's a reason. Of course, Manny's dad doesn't get mentioned much. In season 5, he becomes prominent, with Manny stealing his credit card to try to get plastic surgery to be an actress and all that. He is upset over Manny's antics, mostly to do with her acting. I don't think he really knew about her stuff, but basically Manny wanting to become a slut and all that. Of course, it is without saying that basically Manny's in a Catholic family, a prominently Catholic family, because they're from the Philippines, and the Catholic religion is a big part in the Philippines. And of course, Manny was scared to be shipped off to the Philippines when she got impregnated by Craig. But basically, Joseph, the dad, basically doesn't understand. It basically decides to kick Manny out. He says that Manny can submit to him and he will go easy on her, but Manny refuses to, and he doesn't like it. And of course, Manny's mom is a little bit guilty of supporting her husband, but basically stand by her husband. But that's the problem. Unfortunately, though, there's a lot of conflict. Manny moves into Emma's house and all that for the time being. After a year and JT being stabbed, Manny's dad reluctantly allows her to come back because of the tragedy of JT. And of course, Emma's not too pleased because she feels like she's losing an ally. If only she knew. But yeah, Manny's dad becomes engrossed with Jay after Jay and Manny date. Of course, Manny dates Jay to try to get freedom from her parents, and basically, you know, Joseph doesn't bite the cat and mouse game, and basically once Manny gets fake engaged to try to get her parents off her back, Joe hires a priest, and they basically, he's not going to let Manny off the hook that easily, and all that. You could say that, his, I think his upbringing brought what he needed to upbring with Manny. I mean, he was good in the sense that he told Manny you can study acting, but I need you to have a minor in case acting doesn't work. And so Manny takes up science. Good job. So anyway, the main poll had 582 votes in it. There were two of them that hit triple digits. So anyway, number 6 was Rick's parents, who had 8 of the 582 votes. And the reason why I put them in the top 6 was because of the firearm easily in Rick's clutches and basically babying him. Both parents had their own issues. Now, a lot of you would probably say that, what about Rick's dad? We never saw him. What was he like? Well, from the vibe I'm getting is that he was a traveling salesman. He wasn't there for Rick or his mom. People say that he was abusive towards Rick and Rick's mom. Possibly, possibly not, but we don't know everything. It's black and white, or a gray area, if you will. But anyway, a lot of people say that Rick's father probably having emotional and physical abuse on Rick and his mother got Rick into thinking that women are scum. The seeds for Rick's narcissism and general anger. I don't completely buy that because a lot of Rick's pent up frustration was mostly to do with Paige. Because, Paige was a thorn in his side in season 3 when he was dating Terry and all that. I don't want to bore you with details, but basically, why else would Rick have gone after Paige first if he wanted to shoot somebody before he was talked down on the ledge by her? I'll say this much: that Paige was Rick's thorn in the side of things, not his dad. I think his dad was upset for not being around Rick as much, but he's a traveling salesman. He has to do what he has to do. But I think for as bad as Rick's dad possibly was, especially with the firearm easily put in a place that Rick could find it. I mean, like, honestly, Rick's mom is just as bad. Rick's mom obviously is the parent that Rick needs for situations like that. Fair enough. But all I'm saying about Rick's parents, in the sense that things are bad, like Rick's mom, I think, believed Rick's bullshit and everything. Rick could have easily solved the problems with him in the school by telling his mom things, but he also knew that his mom gets involved, he could get hurt even worse. Possibly, possibly not. But the fact of the matter is, she seemed to be very, not neglectful, indifferent. I know I have a different verdict for her. But basically, you know, she didn't know about what Rick had went through. Basically, she just went by Rick telling her things like, "We're gonna rule the school after Whack Your Brain. We're gonna have fun with Toby. You know, me, Jimmy, Emma, and Toby are tight and all that." Like, she was blissfully ignorant. Aha, blissfully. That's right, blissfully ignorant. That's the verbiage I get of her. So anyway, Emma. So yeah, so basically, the mother seems blissfully ignorant, and she's upset that Rick died and all that, but you know, she's just she just doesn't understand the situation. I think, in a sense, that probably the police told her about the situation to do with Rick, and I think Radich probably didn't come to the funeral. My biggest thing is that Radich, I think, didn't come to the funeral of Rick, or got anywhere near the visitation or the funeral, because he knew that he was going to be peppered with questions from Rick's mom, and he didn't have the answers. So regardless, she said that she's a victim and all that. And she, I guess, figures out that she's going to get harassed and all that because her son's a school shooter and all that. I think that she, in a way, got justice with a settlement, and that's probably why Radich was thrown through the ringer. And the school board probably did not want to fire Radich. Instead, they reassigned they reassigned him. I think, in a sense, because they knew that if they had fired Radich, he would fire back, saying that it's your policies, and the school board really would have to pay a deeper price. Regardless, yeah, Rick's parents are terrible. Number 5 in the poll with 19 votes was Mr. Hollingsworth. Now, this is a different type of parent. Like I said, his reasoning was he was more into being mayor and forcing the school board / Simpson to bow to him than dealing with his kids. He was terrible towards his kids, especially Miles in season 14. Miles had a lot of issues, and that forced Maya to try to help Miles deal with his dad, because Maya wants to get rid of the guilt that she had with Cam. I mean, why would Maya have so much guilt? If anyone is to blame, it's Sig. But that's a little bit of personal vendetta. Regardless, I feel, in a sense, that he was planning a campaign stop at Degrassi around the last few days of trying to become mayor of Toronto. And basically, it's a little bit fishy. It's like he wants to put money into making Degrassi better, giving them a new wing. Would you have done that if your 3 kids didn't go to Degrassi? Kind of nepotism, kind of stupid and illegal, in a sense. Not unheard of, but it would be bad. So the fact of the matter is that, Hollingsworth got in trouble for beating up on Miles, and then, Frankie and Hunter joined him against their dad and says that, "I'm going to be mayor, like it or not." And he becomes mayor for some freaking reason. Why, I don't know. I mean, the real trial mayor, John Tory, would not stand for that. But anyhow. So yeah, he's the mayor and all that. Miles wants to push his dad down because of all the bad stuff towards him, but figures out that even though his dad had an affair, he was fixing it with the family, and he did good. But the fact of the matter is, being mayor means you have certain powers, and that's possibly why Miles, Frankie, and Hunter escaped many controversies to do with their tenures. Miles, because he burned the school. He was supposed to go to a private school, but he was back at Degrassi for some reason. I think basically, Mr. Hollingsworth made a deal that if Miles didn't say much about the abuse, then he would allow him to go back to Degrassi. Because I think if Mayor Hollingsworth sent his son away, then the son would talk. Also to do with the fact that, Hunter was suspended, but he was basically put in an institute, in a mental institute for tuition for a while. But he wasn't expelled after Hunter went ballistic over the feminist club, ruining his gamer thing and wanting to shoot Maya, even though Goldie kind of was behind it. But Goldie used Maya as a mouthpiece, maybe knowing that she could coerce Maya into things. Regardless, Hunter doesn't get expelled or anything. It's possible that Mayor Hollingsworth used the influence on the school board and Simpson to get Hunter there. And what about Frankie and her racism stuff? Mayor Hollingsworth basically supported Frankie in a sense. And Frankie probably would have gotten punishment from Simpson, possibly for the racism thing. But Mayor Hollingsworth probably blocked that and told Simpson that he could ruin Simpson's career. And Simpson, being a good lapdog, just did that. Didn't hurt Frankie in a sense. Frankie did try to fix the problem. And also the fact that, the school was just upset with Simpson. Simpson should have just said something about Mayor Hollingsworth, but he knew that Degrassi would be fucked over. So yeah, I made an unpopular opinion about, did Hollingsworth force Simpson not to go hard on his 3 kids? For the simple fact that as mayor, he could bring Simpson down. Anyway, number 4 on the list with 21 votes, just above Mr. Hollingsworth, was Zoe's mom. Basically living off her daughter and not accepting of her being a lesbian. Now, it's kind of complicated. Now, the past few years, I've changed my tone about Zoe's mom. Basically, I figured that Zoe's mom hated on Zoe a lot because of her. With Zoe being gay, it was against the Catholic religion. And, most Catholics are not really good with the LGBTQ2 plus community. But the more I read into things and the more people said stuff, I softened my stance. Now, Zoe's mom was shown to basically not have a job. And Zoe was a child actress and also was on West Drive or whatever you call it and was kicked out because of a drug problem. And Zoe's mom basically said that Zoe can do no wrong. She basically says that Zoe causes problems because of her dyslexia. I don't know if Zoe had dyslexia or not, or it was just faked. But yeah, she didn't want Zoe to get in trouble because Zoe could get expelled and basically lose roles and all that. And Zoe's mom obviously had something to do with the fact that Simpson didn't blow up at Zoe for what she did to about Zoe's cyber slut shaming of Maya. And basically, when Maya retaliates, that's when Simpson throws the book at Maya instead of Zoe. Like Zoe cyber bullied Maya. But the worst part for Maya is that, Zoe and her mom got to Simpson. And also, her mom was saying that you got to turn the other cheek. Maya's like, you expect me to turn the other cheek when I've been cyberbullied? The school has to pay a hefty price for it. Maya could have gotten back at Zoe in the courts, but her mom basically said no. So anyway, yeah. But yeah, Zoe's mom, was driving her daughter to be an actress and all that, and really hit the roof when Zoe came out as being a lesbian. She just thought that Zoe was going through some kind of phase and all that. But when Zoe came out of the closet, the roles stopped coming. After all, Zoe was in trouble for the Degrassi nude stuff. She got community service, but she got lucky she got community service. But once people, like the homophobic people, figured that Zoe wasn't good as being a lesbian and being an actress. So Zoe's mom had a difficult decision. Either work or find another guy to date for his money and marry him for his money so that she didn't have to work. Well, you can probably guess Zoe's mom's course of action. She could have found a job and supported herself, and then she decides to kick Zoe out, saying that I would rather be with a guy, be a gold digger, than to deal with my lesbian daughter. Because, she couldn't live off Zoe anymore because Zoe wasn't getting roles, wasn't doing anything. Zoe goes to live with Grace, and basically, yeah. Zoe's mom contemplates going to Zoe's graduation at, Zoe's valedictorian. But at the end, she decided she just couldn't do it. She just couldn't because she would feel ashamed of herself. And she sent Zoe's dad with documents and all that. That's pathetic. And a letter for Zoe. Zoe burns the letter and basically said that she doesn't care about her mom. Everyone around her is her family. Number 3 with 33 votes, ironic enough, is Becky's parents being hypocritical Christians. Now, we learn about the Bakers when they moved from Florida to Toronto so that Luke could play junior ice hockey there in season 12. You know, that sounds cool. But Becky's parents are different. Becky's dad is a minister, and Becky's mom is played by a famous Canadian actress by the name of Tara Spencer Nairn, who's known for her roles on Corn and Gas and a few other shows. But regardless, they basically push Becky and Luke to be good Christians and to basically hate homosexuality. Fair enough. I mean, like, a lot of Christians don't care about homosexuals. That's the way they're brought up. Fair enough. But basically, they're pushing it. Becky has a crush on Adam. Obviously, her parents don't like Adam because Adam is transgendered. It was a girl turning into a boy. So anyway, Becky decides to go through conversion therapy, but then, Jenna decides to set Becky straight. Becky would have to pray in a girl's bathroom. I wonder why Becky wasn't sent to a Christian high school and all that. But I guess she fought her parents for that. I don't know. But the big issue was when Luke was accused of raping Zoe at a party. Becky found the information and knew that her brother was guilty. However, her parents put the pressure on Becky to lie for them. And Luke even said something that you have an honor for the family. Besides, I took a fall for you when you lost your grandmother's ring down the sink. However, Becky said, true, but the next day I confessed everything because that's what I do. And Luke told her about stuff. Becky was forced by her parents to try to lie for Luke. She ends up missing her first chance to testify, but then the next day she decides to testify. And thanks to Luke telling her this stuff, and Becky going by the fact you have to tell the truth and all that, that's why you're a Christian. She tells on Luke, she gets Luke put in juvie for 2 years. Her parents basically turn their heads in shame and shame Becky and basically don't want anything to do with Becky. But they can't throw Becky out because they would be seen as really bad parents. Becky has to live with parents who don't want to be around her. So she's probably waiting until she's 18 and get rid of those assholes, in a sense. I think they were terrible parents and all that. Now, they're the worst parents in Degrassi in the sense because parents, as in the plural. I mean, the next two people on the list, like the main characters, one of their two, like both their moms were decent people. So yeah, so if you want parents in the plural, that's Becky's for sure. Number 2 with 124 votes was Craig's dad, who basically abused him for what seemed to be no reason. So in season 2, we were introduced to a new character named Craig. He takes photos of people. Excuse me. And what's creepy is that the photos he's taking is of Emma and Angie, that is Joey's kid. He seems to be stalking them. Craig gets into trouble for not coming home at a certain time, and his dad is upset and decides to beat him and all that. His dad's a neurosurgeon and all that, accomplished neurosurgeon. But basically, yeah, he was terrible. Craig would just do one little thing, and it would set Albert off. And he beats the shit out of Craig and all that. He breaks Craig's camera, realizes it, and decides to give Craig money to buy a new one. Craig instead decides to use the money for him and Angie to run away to Vancouver. Unfortunately, Joey gets wind of this, and Joey is not too happy, says, Craig, stay away from my family. So Craig has issues, especially with the fact that Craig plays chicken with a train and Sean saves him. Sean and Emma proceed to tell Joey that Craig's dad's why Craig seems to be unstable. So anyway, using some sleuthing, that Craig had a connection with Joey because Joey married Craig's mom, who left Albert. And it's possible Albert is using the fact that Julia left him as a way to beat up on Craig. He decides he needs to take his frustrations out on somebody, and Craig, sadly, is that guy. Craig goes to live with Joey for a while. Craig's dad does come back for him in season 2's finale, saying that he has a wake-up call. Unfortunately, nothing really changed. Craig's upset. And then Craig learns that Albert died in a car crash that very night. And Craig is conflicted. His tormentor's dead, but he still has feelings for his dad. Why? Of course, that goes into the finale, and Craig hallucinates seeing his dad cheer for him winning King to Ashley's queen. I guess it was a sympathy vote. But anyway, he starts tearing down decorations at the luau thing. Radich tells everyone to let Craig get it out of his system because he knows that Craig is dealing with his dad's death, and tells Craig that you can leave school at any time. You won't be punished. I will make sure that the school doesn't harm you in any way. But, after Craig talks to Terry, everything's better. And, Craig's dad is dead. Thank God for that. And Craig seems to be okay. Unfortunately, Craig caught being bipolar. And I think that the apple didn't fall far from the tree. And his dad had bipolar issues that were never explained. So, yeah. And number one, without a doubt, with over 300 votes out of 582 votes, number one was Jane's dad for molesting her and influencing Lucas in a sense. I'm probably wrong with that. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention about Craig's dad that, it's possible Craig had feelings because Craig, as someone put it, Craig was like a abused puppy. He wanted love but would get hurt too often. But anyway, Jane's dad is number one. I don't blame that. I actually thought Craig's dad was going to beat Jane's dad by an inch, but I didn't think it was this much. So, more than 3 times the Craig's dad votes. Wow. But yeah, molestation's bad, obviously. So anyway, in season 8, around the time Shep comes back from a sensitivity training course, and after Jane quit the football team because of the abuse she suffered, and no Shep helping her. Shep says that Jane's welcome back at the football team if she wants. And then he sets up a varsity versus alumni football game. And then when Jane learns that for her mom that her dad's trying to get back in her life, Jane's like, I hate him somehow, but why? However, it's revealed that Jane's dad would sexually molest her at night while Jane's mom was working a couple of jobs. And Lucas was blissfully ignorant, just watching TV and all that in the other room. Lucas was under the belief that, as he says it, that, Jane could not dress herself properly. But Jane sets him straight. And then Jane's dad comes close to Isabella, Lucas's kid, who Lucas didn't really care much for. But then after realizing what his dad did and realizing that Isabella might be targeted, he does the right thing and basically doesn't want his dad back in his life. Even though that Lucas probably wanted his dad back because he needed someone there. And that could explain why Lucas has issues. But, he comes through and apologizes for what he did to Jane. Jane says that it's fair, but Jane said, we were kids. And besides, you're here now helping. That's all that matters. And then Lucas, after that episode, vanishes. Not a trace, not even a mention. It was like, what the fuck? He's in the family therapy trying to help his sister out, and then he's gone the next episode. That's the worst black hole I've seen in a while. I mean, honestly. But yeah, Jane's dad and all that. And to me, I might be wrong, but I think Jane's dad may have influenced Lucas and all that, saying that, something about Jane. If you don't say anything, I'll make sure your life is fine. And I think that's why Lucas was not really a dad to Isabella until their dad came back and was targeting Isabella. Lucas made the right decision, trying to change his tone and all that. But I just wish we didn't lose him after that. But yeah, Jane's dad is scum. Molestation, honestly, yeah. I bet you he went to jail after that. Or did he? I don't know. Who cares? Anyway, so thanks for watching this video and have a good day.